Everybody thinks SEMA is a car show. It's not.
You're listening to the Get Out and Drive podcast with John, custom car nerd Meyer, and Jason, old car guy Carr. Are you ready to get out and drive?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another backseat episode of the Get Out and Drive podcast. My name is Jason, old car guy Carr.
And I am John, custom car nerd Meyer.
John, this was my first time to SEMA.
Yes, my feet are still hurting. Yes, my feet are still hurting.
I haven't been able to walk since I got back. So guys, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you've probably been listening to us for a while. If this is your first time, I'm sorry.
Yes.
But we just spent a week in Las Vegas, and the 3 days of SEMA, I bet you we've got 15 miles easy.
Oh, my phone said like 35,000 steps or something.
Oh, it was absolutely crazy. So what we want to do with this kind of podcast, this backseat episode, is just kind of give you our experience on what we liked, what we didn't like, about the whole SEMA experience in Las Vegas. And I want to start off by saying, we spent 8 total days there, and the first 4 days that we were there, we had fun. We went and we visited we did some sightseeing, Hoover Dam, the Bonnie and Clyde car. We had a blast even long before SEMA ever started.
We went to Shelby. We went to Shelby, America.
Shelby, America.
Yes.
We got to see where they build all the Shelby Mustangs and the Ford F-150 Shelbys. What an opportunity. And we met some really, really fantastic people there. Not just at Shelby American. We did the cars and coffee the next day. We headed over to Gateway, and we saw some vehicles over there at what's it called? Gateway
Classic Cars.
Gateway Classic Cars.
Started in St. Louis, but now it is all over the place, all over the country.
Yeah, and got to interview some really great folks and show off their cars. And if you follow us on YouTube, there's some videos over there that you guys can head over and check out some of those fantastics. That 57 Chevy convertible.
You keep talking about that car. It was fantastic.
That was probably one of my favorite, even before we even got to SEMA.
So you've got like this tiny little person inside of you that's a lowrider screaming to get out.
A little bit.
I
never thought that I would be, because I look at some of these, the 62 Impalas, the big Pontiacs, the Buicks and the Cadillacs, all, 14-inch wheels and tires, and
right.
They're on hydraulics or they're on airbags or whatever they're doing. And that never really appealed to me until I could see it and touch and feel and look and smell. I think I'm a convert.
I saw you directly just run right towards that tan 57 Chevy convertible that was at Shelby American Cars and Coffee.
I did. In fact, the first thing I did was I whipped out my phone and my microphone and my little tripod thing, and I started filming.
Right.
I don't know what it was. So I'm generally speaking, I'm not a big shoebox or a Tri-5 guy. I appreciate them for sure. But when I saw this one, I'm like, man, John, get over here and look at this car. And so we get to interview the owner, and what a great guy. Told us all about the car, and I fell in love not just with the 57 Chevy, but with the lowrider aspect of that particular car. And then we get ourselves to SEMA, and I saw another one there, and I'm like, why is this being presented to me? Why am I seeing so many of these things? And anyways, so yeah, I had a really great first experience in Las Vegas before we got to SEMA. And then on Tuesday morning, it all started off, John, with a great big breakfast, a great big award show.
Yeah.
And an awesome, absolutely awesome Ken Block video of him racing that electric Audi. Like, Come on.
Oh, that was the insanity. I mean, to even listen to him talk about the horsepower, the amount of torque, the fact that that car does not have a transmission. I mean, it doesn't have gearbox, that type of thing. It's absolutely amazing to hear the car whine, and the absolute incredible amount of power that that car has. They showed where he was running around in circles in front of Caesar's Palace or whatever, and I think they said wheel speed was 120 something miles an hour. And he said normally when he's doing some tight donut like that, it's like 60 miles an hour. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the fact that he had to learn how to drive almost all over again because of the
Right.
difference between a non-shifting
Mhm.
engine setup and one that you would have to shift like a normal, or an internal combustion engine. So learning
Right,
how
with a
to,
normal gearbox, right?
yeah, learning how to throttle down and up was how you controlled your gears, so to speak, in an electric car.
Right.
And burning through, what did he say? Over 100
Well,
sets
there was
of
like
tires
100 sets of
to
tires or
film
something
that
crazy.
9 minute or 7 minute video, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was
That's crazy.
insane. Because I know the folks from Hoonigan were there, and he was talking about the video, and he normally said they go through, I don't know, 20 or 50 sets of tires or something, but they went through over 100 or whatever he said. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And then, so you get to SEMA. So you got to get there first.
Right.
You got to get to SEMA. You got to be able to walk in the door. And we struggled with a little bit of, what do you say, directional challenges.
That's true. I can go ahead and say if I ask somebody, 5 people the same question, I got 6 different answers.
Yeah. So the one fella that kind of got us back on track was a parking attendant in the back lot somewhere down on Judge Joe Brown Boulevard or whatever it was called down there.
Right. Right.
And he directed us to make a right, make a left, go down, take a left past the 7-Eleven,
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, and put us where we had to be, which coincidentally was the first stop of the morning. All we were trying to do was we were trying to get our media badges,
Right.
which gives us access to going inside the doors at SEMA.
Right.
So we literally spent 2 hours that morning trying to find.
You can't go and park in front of the building
No,
where you need to get your badges.
because they're setting up the show.
Yeah, they're setting a show up. And you have to understand that if you go there, and if you are a first timer at SEMA, you have to understand that you have to park in like another state and walk there, or pay $60 to park at the Chinese food restaurant across the street.
Yeah.
Or shuck and jive or do something crazy. And that's kind of what we did. We had to shuck and jive and bribe people to get in the lot to let us pick up our badges.
So because we couldn't park in that front lot in front of South Hall, I guess it
South
was.
Hall, right?
We come up with this plan, and John says, well, Jason, how about you and Junior go in and get your badges, and I'll just drive circles around the lot out here.
Right.
And then when you guys get your badges, Joanne and I will go in and do the same thing. So sure enough, we go in, we go exactly where we need to go, get our badges. We come down, and I said to John, I texted him, we're ready. He comes over, he hops out, him and Joanne go inside, and Junior and I get in the Jeep, and we just go down and we circle around the parking lot a little bit. And the old fella on the John Deere drove right by us. And I said to Junior, I said, whatever you do, don't make eye contact with that old fella over there.
Right.
If he asked us
He's
to move,
the one we snuck by to get in.
we snuck by him because he was the same guy that told us we couldn't get into that lot the first time.
Right.
So anyways, we got our media badges, and we were, happy as pigs and poo. And then SEMA day, we woke up at 5:00 in the morning to get ready and get on the road, because we knew we had to do a couple of things. So one was we had to get there. That's about a 20-minute drive from where we were through traffic.
You have to avoid all the limousines making a left turn from the right lane
across 4 lanes of traffic.
across 4 lanes of traffic and then making a U-turn.
And we had to find a place to park. So finding a place to park, if you're familiar with SEMA or the convention center at all, the convention center owns specific parking lots. And apparently, according to John, last year, the Platinum parking lot
Right.
was where you parked.
That's right by the loop. Walk
Yep.
across the street, go to loop.
And the
Fantastic.
loop is, if you guys don't know what it is, go look it up. It's the Tesla loop. It's an underground tunnel system using Teslas to taxi you back and forth between the different halls of the convention center. So we said, okay, we'll go to the Platinum lot. We get over there. They won't let you in the front door or in the front gate. So he says, that person said, oh, you got to go around back. Okay. So we go around back. And that guy says, well, you can't park here because you got to be staff. And we're like, well, we've got badges. Well, no, you're not staff.
You got to be an employee of the convention center.
Yeah. So now you got to remember, if you go to Google Maps and you look up the Platinum lot, it's right behind South Hall.
Right.
That Platinum lot's got to be what? 5-6 acres of.
Oh, it's
land?
giant.
It's huge.
It's giant. It holds thousands of cars.
And that's for the staff of the convention center.
No. I have no idea, but they wouldn't let anybody in there. And every other parking lot in the whole place was taken up with driving courses or burnout boxes or places to do donuts or places to stage equipment.
Yeah. And
you're
so
on your own when you're parking.
Yeah. So long story short, the first day we kind of valeted the Jeep because we were at the West Gate for the breakfast. So they just valeted the Jeep and all fine and dandy. Day 2, we get driving along and we're going down Convention Center Boulevard or whatever it's called there by the West Hall. Right. And there's the Marriott with a sign out front that says,
"Don't tell them our secrets, man."
That says, "Don't park here unless you're John and Jason from the Get Out and Drive podcast."
Yes,
so we
that's
saw
correct.
that sign with our name on it, and we pulled into there, parked the Jeep in the parking garage, and literally bloop, 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 tiptoed across the street. Boom, you're in the North Hall or the West Hall.
In the West Hall, right? It was like 20 yards.
Yep,
like right across the street.
Coffee and a donut, and away you go.
Right.
So that's what we did the second day too. We looked for that sign with our name on it that said we could park there.
Yes.
And without giving away our secrets, we parked. But to me, the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing was the theme of the week. Everywhere we went, we were told we couldn't do what we wanted to and that we had to go here. And then when we got here, we were told we can't do that. We had to go there.
That's exactly correct. And everything was completely different than last year. Everything.
Heaven forbid they don't change anything.
No, and right. But I mean, I know they're trying to change things around, and SEMA's going to add more things for 2023. They're adding a concert beforehand that anybody can go to. That's not just business oriented, because Tuesday through Thursday is still going to be person to person, business to business. You have to be in the industry to get in, but they're going to have a concert and they're going to have an automotive auto auction. I don't know where that is going to go at all. I have no idea. And they have F1 racing.
It'll probably happen at that place where they allowed us to park,
I guess.
So that's probably where the auction is going to take place, is in our parking spot.
Well, I'm going to auction whatever vehicle I'm driving. I'm auctioning that.
Yeah,
that's where I'm parking.
Well, and for those who didn't know, John and his wife are in St. Louis, and they drove to Las Vegas in an '89 Jeep Cherokee.
Oh yeah.
And Junior and I flew. So, we were pretty excited to see that our Lyft or our Uber pulled up to the airport, and it was John and Joanne in this '89 Jeep Cherokee. And we thought we were being awfully unique by driving through Las Vegas in this classic old Jeep. But man, There was a pile of those XJs on the road up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yes.
Some good, some not so good.
Some not so good.
I think yours was, cresting the cream of the crop there.
I hope so.
And it was a great experience. Getting to meet John and Joanne. They were great hosts. Of course, we shared a Airbnb, and they were great hosts. They cooked for us. They bought groceries for us. They they really looked after Junior and I. We're very very happy about that. And we great to finally meet you guys in person, and had a great experience that way too. But back to the show. Would I go again? Would I go to SEMA again, despite the frustration of trying to find a place to park, the frustration of not knowing where to go to get your proper credentials, the amount of walking we did? My answer is absolutely.
We did do some walking. We did do some walking.
We did some walking. And, again, the Las Vegas Convention Center is made up of 4 halls. One of those halls has 2 stories, 1.2 million square feet.
Yes.
That's just inside. That's just under the roof. That's not talking about all the parking lots that are out there full of experiences, hoonigans, and
the West Hall is brand new.
Brand new.
The West Hall is brand new. I had never been in that hall before.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So yes, the answer is yes. I would absolutely go back again next year, and with a few lessons learned. So one might be staying a little closer to the venue, that we don't have to drive and find parking, but there's a cost associated with that. So, we look at the Airbnb for the 4 of us, the cost was split. So it was a lot cheaper to stay there than maybe it would have been at Caesars or the Westgate or the whatever that's just down the street. So there's a cost associated with convenience at Las Vegas. If you want to be right there within walking distance, you're going to pay for that. If you want to park at the front door, you're going to pay for that.
Right.
So the experience that I had, just SEMA as a whole, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. As a first-time goer, Las Vegas was great. A little big for my likings. I'm from a small town, folks. I live in a town where the greater population is like less than 5,000 people. And we go to Las Vegas, there's 130,000 people just there at SEMA.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't
you were scared of the airport.
Was I? Oh my. It took you guys an hour just to find me.
Yes, that is correct. I kept yelling out the window, "Where are the Canadians?" Nobody had seen you, so I just kept on going. So what was your favorite thing that was at the show? I know I have some things that were special, but what did you see that popped out?
It really is hard to narrow down, and I've been asked that a lot. What was your favorite thing? I could probably nail it down to what was my favorite top dozen, because there's just so much to see there. The Ring Brothers had several entries that I absolutely fell in love with. One I didn't think I was going to like, but the more you looked at it, the more you loved it. And we will have an interview on that. Not sure when that will go out, but you'll have to tune into that one. The 57 Chevy Lowrider in the North Hall at the Alpha Sonic booth. Again, why? I had no idea, but it struck a chord with me. The electric display of all the electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. You guys all know how I feel about electric and EVs and all this stuff. And if you don't, I'm not there yet. I'm not even on the fence. I'm still looking at the fence, trying to decide which side I want to be on. But I was impressed by the amount of aftermarket support for that type of hot rodding. And I would have to say that SEMA as a whole has really jumped on board with the whole EV side of hot rodding and aftermarket. And why, most people might ask, is simply because they want to see the hot rodding. They want to see the aftermarket. They want to see our industry continue on for years and years and years. And if jumping on board that EV platform of hot rodding is the way to do it, that's what they got to do. So great display there. At the Racing Junk booth, John, that 36 Pontiac that was sitting in the Racing Junk booth, where we got to spend a lot of time interviewing some really great folks. That was an amazing car. Dodge had a great display. Again, you can't narrow it down to any one or two vehicles. It's the experience in itself was kind of what makes me want to go back. But I know you had a number of vehicles there that you just couldn't pull yourself away from. Right. And why don't you tell the folks who are listening some of the cars that you fell in love with?
Well, like you had done with the lowrider cars, that kind of sparked your interest. I did not know I was interested in the Overlander vehicles. We went and I stayed in the West Hall, and I was just standing there looking at these giant trucks. I mean, they were Ford 550s trucks with an even more giant camper on the back, 2-story camper. How the hell you get a 2-story camper? I mean, you're certainly not taking that through the Wendy's drive-through.
And these things were already lifted like 10 inches.
Right. They're giant. They're on 55-inch tires, or bigger. They're giant. And it's so crazy how big they were. And I don't know where you drive these things or where you drive them over, but they're badass and I want one. The EV stuff was great. I really like that. And as everybody knows, I'm super dorky. I really liked the Pinto cruising wagon that had the Ecotec in it.
Childhood memories right there.
Yeah. And it's just an absolutely out of the box thinking, beautiful build on that car. And it was in the Battle of the Builders. It did not win. Ring Brothers Enyo was one of the ones that we talked about quite a lot. I'm on the fence whether or not I liked it. The 48 Chevy, I was on the fence whether I liked it. And the more I stood there and I looked at it, the more I did like that truck. A lot of crazy cars that were there. A quad cab 67 Chevy pickup.
Oh, the yellow one.
The yellow quad cab that was and that was a Hills Hot Rods build. Mm-hmm. There were more Brodozer, lights and whistles and giant train horns. There were Brodozer trucks everywhere to see on the outside of SEMA.
Most of them without front drive shafts, I might add.
Most of them with Bluetooth front drive shafts. Yes. Yep. An incredible car I couldn't believe I could stand in front of was gray Baskerville's 32 Ford Roadster. How many people walked right past that car?
Past it, yeah.
Because they had no idea what it was. They're like, what is this rat rod? They're missing paint and has primer on it, and it's all chipped up and terrible looking. And I'm standing there for 30 minutes staring at the thing.
Falling in love.
Oh, my God. A beautiful car. Hills Hot Rods had another square body that was dark green and olive green that was sitting outside. That was incredible. I remember seeing there was a VW Bug that was painted like brown metallic that had a beautiful street rod interior in it, all sorts of things. But half the things I don't remember because my feet hurt so bad.
Well, let's set the cars aside for a second, and some of the great people we got to meet while we were there, sitting in the Racing Junk booth. Sometimes we were sitting in their booth, getting to interview them. Some of the celebrities that were walking around there.
I got to chat with Bodie and his son.
Yeah,
that was fantastic.
I got to meet Barry Maguire.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
Wax.
Yep.
And we got to interview a fellow from Maguire's as well. Mm-hmm. And like, if you're somebody and you're in the car industry to some degree, chances are you were at SEMA at least one of the 3 days that you were that was happening. I met some folks who introduced themselves to me that follow me.
Yep.
As old car guy from my YouTube channel and my Instagram, which I thought was absolutely insane. Here I am 3,000 miles away from home and somebody recognizes me out of a crowd. I mean, I'm pretty easy to point out, I guess, with the beard. But like seeing other YouTubers, I met Craig from the Craig 909, Dan and Danny from DD Speed Shop, bumped into them. There were several others that we just, you walk by, it's, hey, we recognize each other. You go over, you chat for a few minutes. And I can't wait to start, talking and promoting some of these interviews that we've done. We had a blast, and I can't wait for 2023.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think 2023 is going to involve some sort of a rechargeable electric sneaker or scooter or
I need some
skateboard or
Heelys.
something.
I need Heelys.
EV Heelys.
EV Heelys. Anybody out there listening, and they can invent some EV Heelys. Write that down, Jason.
EV Heelys.
$1 million idea. We're headed to Shark Tank.
And yeah. So one thing we didn't say was just how super duper the
Super
folks
fantastic.
over at Racing Junk booth are.
Everybody at Racing Junk is super fantastic.
Super duper.
That is true. You didn't tell them. You didn't tell anybody I got accosted by Emma from Mob Steel.
No, it was actually pretty neat to meet her. I've been following her on Instagram for quite a while, and some of the other folks that we got to meet.
Yeah.
While we were wandering around,
hung out with Tim Strange for a while.
Tim Strange. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We met with Tim Strange, Al Liebman. Yep. Who was the guy? He reached out to me. I have his card on my desk in there. Barry Alt. Some of these guys who are doing the same thing that we are. We're in there. We're reporting, investigating. We're talking. We're learning. We're being entertained. And that's really what SEMA was for me. It was a trade show with lots of famous vehicles, people, products that just happen to have a bunch of really cool cars inside.
Oh yeah. You got to tell everybody thinks SEMA is a car show. It's not. It is 100% has to do with businesses and promoting the automotive industry of all types. And sure, it has cars. Sure, it has trophies. Sure, it has fun. It's a notch in your belt to get to go. Or it's a notch in your belt if you bring a vehicle and you actually win something there. And that's right. How they get vehicles to go, and they get new products, and they get people pushing the envelope of how to build. But it is first and foremost, if you are thinking about going to SEMA and you're listening to this podcast, it is not a car show. But if you're part of the automotive industry, we'd love to have you. It's a great show, and it's a great place to meet people and see and be seen.
And if you were at SEMA 2022, we want to hear your story about what your favorite part of SEMA 2022 is. So if you go to our website at getoutanddrive.com, go to our listener hotline, throw us a line, tell us what you thought was your favorite part of SEMA, and maybe we'll send you a gift. So make sure you hit us up over at getoutanddrive.com.